Good afternoon, everybody. I am really excited to be here. My name is Suki, and I am a member of the Faerie Council. And I have been part of the council for a number of years. And I'm really excited to have Marla Durden help just participating and just sharing a bit of who she is. And I'm really excited because this year she is going to be one of our presenters. This is going to be her first time. So welcome, Marla.
Thank you, Suki. Happy to be here.
Let's start with, what is your origin story? How did you experience the call to spirit?
For me, it's really interesting, Suki, because it happened for me before I really knew what was going on. I was 5 years old, and my aunt was dying. My mother had taken my sister and myself to visit my grandmother, who was tending her sister who was dying. And one afternoon, actually the day before she died, I kind of sauntered into her room by myself and kind of leaned over and gave her a little bit of my purple slushy and just spent some time with her. And she touched me, and the room got misty. Like, in the vernacular of my lineage, that people say I was touched, she touched me, and something was passed on to me that was very profound and very powerful, that I didn't even know or understand was happening until actually really until I was an adult when I realized that I had great empathy. Now, that's when I consciously realized it. But as a child, like many of us who are attracted to the Fairy Congress, the veil was so thin. I would talk to animals and talk to the trees and all of the things. I would induce my own dreams and all kinds of wonderful things like that I thought everybody did. And it wasn't until I was a young adult that I realized other people didn't do that. So that's the first part that I will say about that. But what that did for me is it put me on this path and this journey of discovery and learning, where I've studied many mystical systems, as well as traditions, and also honoring the lineage through my family of working with roots and herbs and plants. So it's been an amazing journey for me. I can stop there for a minute, or I can tell you a little bit more about that.
Why don't you share a little bit more?
Um, I have, I studied theosophy. I was fortunate enough. My life has been this real interesting serendipity. And in some ways, I feel like many of us, that this path is so much bigger than me, and I've been guided places and to places and experiences that I wasn't even conscious was a part of the unfolding of my journey. And one of which is I've traveled all over the world and seen so many different parts of the world as a young adult, working with the Worldwide WCA, that I was so grateful for. And then I realized that this part of this was my learning about the world and also about leadership. And so I've had many opportunities about that. And what my experience has shown me is that I have been guided along the way silently by, now I realize, the she in many ways. And so one of the things that I experienced was with them is when I first moved to Seattle as a young adult, I lived 2 blocks from the Theosophical library.
Wow.
And so I started going to the Theosophical meetings every Saturday morning, and sitting across the table from Dora Van Gelder Koons. And so I couldn't even believe it. Like, it wasn't even until I got to the Fairy Congress 2 years ago, that I realized that I literally was sitting at the feet of a master. And it was just like this wonderful opportunity to study with her theosophy, the underpinnings of theosophy. So I've studied theosophy, shamanic dowsing, lots of energy work, biogeometry. Those are the big ones. And I would also add to that you wouldn't necessarily call it a mystical practice, but it is something called interplay. And interplay is using story, voice, movement, and sound to facilitate growth and awareness of the body wisdom. And it's so much fun, and you can use it in so many ways. So that's just a little bit. It's been a lot. It's like collapsed into a few sentences, but it's been a very long and very beautiful journey.
Wonderful. Well, thanks. And I know, I mean, you've shared your interplay with us as a group, and that's always been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yes.
I thank you for that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
so now, being that you've been to a couple of the congresses already, so you have an experience with us, what has your experience actually been? Like, how has it been for you being there? And also, what is inspiring you to return to come back this year, besides the fact that you are presenting?
Well, you know, the when I first came to the Fairy Congress in 2021, that was my first one. It was actually a profound life-changing experience in many ways because, like I said, it was at that point that I realized that many of the things that have happened that have been quite profoundly mystical experiences were actually coordinated and supported by the she. And so it created for me an opportunity to really step into my calling and my connection with a deeper connection with our friends and the other realms. And for me personally, I actually I had some profoundly mystical experiences at that first Fairy Congress that really showed me that I was in the right place, and that also affirmed for me kind of everything that I knew in my heart and my soul about what was real and true for myself and for us all, and our connection with the other realms, with our friends
Mhm.
in other dimensions.
And like, it's so you have a real direct experience with the she. How did that begin for you? How did they first come to you? You come to them?
Do you mean consciously at the Fairy Congress?
Not even, no, before. Well, I think, didn't you share that this was before Congress that you
It
had?
was it was actually at the Fairy Congress that I knew who they were. That they actually. So I'll tell you what happened. So what happened at the Fairy Congress, the first Fairy Congress, is I was in a workshop with Mahala's workshop, and I was sitting there in meditation, and it was I mean literally it was almost like that scene from um, it just escaped me. It's from The Ring. What's the movie?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. I just went, whoop, oh, see, another one. And it was almost like that scene where the elves come out, and it was like mist. It was like literally, they walked out of the forest and said hello to me.
Wow. Okay.
Like I was floored. Like it was like I could see them, like I'm looking at you, but it was all these, mystical bubbles and sparkles around them. And it was at that moment that I realized that I had actually met them when I was 15 years old, but I didn't know who they were.
Oh, interesting.
And they actually told me when I was 15, they actually told me some of the things that were going to happen, but I was 15. Like they told me I was going to travel around the world. They told me I was going to learn all of this stuff. And I remember going to school when I was 15 and telling my friends, I was like, oh my God, these beings came to me. And they said this, of course my friends were like, yeah, right. And then of course, like anything, it just kind of melded into
Nice.
everything else. But the seed was actually, another seed was set.
Mhm.
And I want to say this, that honestly, I know now that this is part of my calling from my family and my lineage. When I first took Reiki 1 in 1985, it was before it was even a thing, right? I went to my grandfather, who had pulled an oasis out of the desert, like the largest plants I'd ever seen in my life. And I went to him and I asked him, I said, I want to take this thing called Reiki. Will you pay for it? And he gave me the money.
Hmm.
And he told me to never stop growing and never stop learning, because when you stop learning and growing, you start dying. And
Mhm.
then he gave me the money. And so I realized, for me, that was like the ancestors, right? Again, we started with my aunt when I was 5 years old. And then we had my grandfather give me the first money to take my actually very first metaphysical course. I really understand and appreciate and honor of what is being gifted to me.
Nice, nice. And so then also, can you give us just kind of a synopsis of what you're going to be sharing with us at the Congress this year?
Oh my God, it's going to be so much fun. So we are going to be doing the magic of play, co-creating with each other in subtle realms. And so basically, we are going to come into the wisdom of the body, connect with our allies in the fae realm, and move into conscious co-creation through movement and play and story. It's
Nice.
going to be so fun.
I'm excited. I can't wait
Mhm.
to be there with you. All
Yeah.
right, sweet. Well, I
Yeah.
really appreciate your time and your willingness to just share with us. And we will see you at Congress.
Thank you so much, Suki.
All
And I
right. And that's going to
appreciate
be
everything.
July, I think July, the
20th.
third week of July, I think it is.
It's July 20th through the 23rd.
There you go. So
Actually, it's my
everybody will.
birthday. July 20th is my birthday. So it's my birthday present to
We
myself.
get to celebrate it with you. All right, wonderful. We'll see you then.
Thank you so much. Take
All right,
care.
thank you.